How's everyone doing this morning?
Good.
Fantastic. I'm happy to hear it. So I was asked to prepare, a children's message, and I know you all are usually akin to stories, and I couldn't really think of anything that was very, mystique. I couldn't really think of anything like a parable. I can only think of an actual story with respect to something nice that happened to me, because I know you all have been focusing on the Good Samaritan for a little while now. And I think my story that deals with the Good Samaritan happens to come from this church in terms of 2 or 3 years ago, I should say about 5 years ago. I don't know if you all remember Doug May, the janitor. He used to work here. He came through the open door here. And Doug and I formed a really good friendship. In the summer of 2005, when I was looking for a job, I would actually come for a few interviews down here, and on my, during the time of looking for a job, I would be hanging around the church just to talk to Doug while he was cleaning up. And we would actually have really good conversations, and I would regale him with stories of interviews that I would go on that didn't really pan out so well. Mind you, at the time I was my second year in college, and just a lot of things that had going on. And Doug was nice enough to lend me an ear and hear me out. On one particular afternoon that I came down here while Doug was cleaning up, and I was telling him a funny story of how I ran out of gas on the way to an interview. Poor planning. And this, Doug was really kind and nice enough. I didn't know at the time. He pulled me in for a hug, and I thought this was kind of strange because he'd never pulled me in for a hug before. And when I got back on the road, well, actually when I got home, when I went to take all the stuff out of my pockets as I got home, Doug had actually slipped a $20 bill into my pants, and I had no idea. And I thought that somebody from even a situation where they're working at a church that doesn't have great means to take time out of his day to surprise me with a $20 bill. It meant a lot, especially since I come from a family where I don't need it. It's not something that makes a lot of sense to me. But the fact that he took the time out of his day to show great compassion on somebody, just to regale them with the story of how I ran out of gas thanks to my own poor planning, I thought made a lot of sense to me, in the fact that in each and every one of us, there's the capacity for greatness in someone else's life. The Good Samaritan doesn't just deal in the fact that 2 people passed over an individual that was desperately in need of help. It was the fact that one person took action. And even if it doesn't make sense to you at the time, looking after one another in the way that we have people who will never have their name written in stone looking after the folks in Haiti, or the fact that there are many, many heroes during the civil rights movement who will never be written down in the history book, take charge and create a groundswell so that you and I could sit in church on a Sunday and prove that the most segregated time in this nation isn't on a Sunday morning, I think speaks a lot to just the individual power of changing my mindset, changing your mindset. And I feel really blessed to be in a church like this where, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And I do believe that in each and every one of you, there's a capacity and the ability to do extraordinary things, to be more than just a Good Samaritan, to be everything that you wanted to be to everyone else, to someone else. And even if the person doesn't need it, in my case, it's still appreciated. So when you go forward, find a way to help out, give back to your community, and you'll never be written down in the history book, but you'll make somebody like myself feel like they're on top of the world. All right. I think that's it.